Good morning, students. I hope all of you are safe. First of all, I would want to ask you some question. Daily we get food. So why do we get food daily? Why does it require? Yes, food is essential for our survival. From food we get energy. So the another question rises. From where do we get food? We get food from crops, from the process agriculture. So today we are going to study about the new chapter, crop production and management. Food is essential for our survival. We get food from plants and animals. As the human population is increasing day by day, food needs to be produced on a large scale to meet the increasing demands. So to meet the increasing demands, agriculture plays important process, as agriculture is the process, or we can say it is the science or practice of farming, including cultivation of the soil for growing of crops and the rearing of animals to provide wood, food, wool and other products. Or we can say about the agriculture as the growing of plants and rearing of animals for food, clothing and other useful product is called agriculture. Our country, we know, is the agriculture based country. Most of the sector, that is 70% of the country, depends on the agriculture. Now we will move towards the crops. What are crops? Can we say any type of the plant grown anywhere crop? No. So what are crops? Plants of the same kind grown on a large scale for food, clothing, etc. are called crops. Means what? Means the plants should be of the same kind and that should be grown on a large scale for some purpose. So what are the purpose? For food, for clothing, etc. So a crop is a large amount of one kind of fruit or vegetable that's grown on a farm. So here we come up with the two concepts, agriculture and crops. Now crops. Crops also goes on division. So based on the availability of the crops, based on the requirements of the crops, crops have been divided into the two parts, that is food crops and cash crops. As I am showing you the mind map of the crops, there are two types. For example, food crops. So what are food crops? As the name suggesting, the crops that are grown for the purpose of the food are known as food crops. As I had discussed earlier, our country is based on the agriculture, and to meet the increasing requirement of the increasing population, foods need to be grown. So the agriculture is one of the process. So the food crops is also divided on that basis, that the crops that are grown for the purpose of the food. So what are the examples of the food crops? Some examples are rice, maize, etc. You can also write rice or pulses, fruits, vegetables. These are the example of the food crops. Means mostly the food and the cereals, fruits, vegetables come under the category of the food crops. Now we will move to the next division of the crop, that is the cash crops. Cash, you know, cash means what? Yes, that is talking about the money for the commercial purposes. So those type of the crops that are grown for the commercial purposes are called cash crops. Some of the examples as I have given here, tea, coffee, that are mostly grown for the commercial or the economical purposes. So these are the two types of the crops based on the requirement, that is the food crops and the cash crops. Now there is a further division of the crops based on the growing seasons. We know that India is this country of different seasons. So, based on the growing season, the crops grown in India can be classified as Kharif and Rabi crops. Kharif crops are generally planted in June and harvested in October. The crops which are grown in the monsoon season in the month of June and September and are known as Kharif crops. Mostly monsoon season means in the rainy season they are being grown. For example, maize, millet, cotton, rice, groundnut, etc. Now, the other kind of the crops are Rabi crops. Rabi crops are generally planted in November and harvested in April. Means these crops are grown in the winter season and harvested in the spring season. That is from the month of November to the April, or you can say from the month of October to March are called Rabi crops. For example, wheat, barley, pea, gram, etc. Now, after having the concept about the Kharif and the Rabi crops, about the food and the cash crops, we are moving towards some of the agricultural practices. So, what are agriculture practices? For growing crops, farmers perform a series of activities in a particular sequence over a period of time. These activities are known as agricultural practices. So, what are there in the agricultural practices? I am showing you some of the representation, some of the relationship. Here, first of all, we are seeing that there is adding manure to the field, then the watering the field, tilling or ploughing the field, leveling the field, irrigation, sowing, weeding, harvesting and storage. These are the different agriculture practices that are being followed in a particular sequence by the farmer to grow the crops. And in the agriculture practices, we will see here one by one how this goes on. The first, we will deal with the soil preparation. Now, we have come to know about the agriculture practices. So, first of all, we will see the first process involves the soil preparation. So, soil, we know it is a main medium in which plants grow. The roots of the plant absorb water, air and vital nutrients from the soil. In order to ensure that these are readily available to the roots, the soil is prepared before growing a crop. What did it say? I say that before, to ensure that these are ready available to the roots, the soil need to be prepared. So the name is soil preparation, and this is first agricultural practices. Soil preparation involves again further three divisions, that is the ploughing, leveling and applying fertilizers, that we will see in the further slides.